If something were to happen to Putin, Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin will automatically become acting president, and it is quite possible that he will be elected as the new president of Russia, says Russian opposition political strategist Abbas Galyamov. In an interview with Elena Kirik for the YouTube channel Now, the expert said that Putin is not young after all, and rumours about his poor health and refrigerator do not arise out of nowhere. The analyst also gave a characterization of Mishustin. According to him, he is a largely apolitical character, very technocratic, that is, not militarily inclined, like, for example, Patrushev and Sechin. But in the current conditions, in a situation of growing protest sentiments and general confusion of the political class of the Russian Federation, this apoliticality has serious political potential. Galyamov said, "Few will hold Mishustin responsible for the war and for what is happening in the country. In this sense, he has potential. According to the political strategist, Putin is under constant stress because of the unsuccessful war and the shameful collapse of all his plans and hopes. In essence, the creation of a Russian army that would threaten the entire world was the core of his political project. And the fact that this army turned out to be of little use, and the entire world saw this, of course, creates very serious nervous tension. As is known, being under stress for a long time is fraught with serious health problems, although, of course, Putin has all the possibilities of medicine, both domestic and foreign, at his disposal. It is impossible to rule out that something will happen to him. And in this situation, Mishustin has a very strong chance," Galyamov noted. "The Russian Prime Minister has a minimal anti-rating," the expert added. "No one really likes him except for his closest circle, but at the same time, he has few enemies. And as practice shows, when a dictator leaves, it is precisely the minimal anti-rating that pushes a person to the surface. This was the case, for example, with Khrushchev, who became the leader precisely because he caused the least tension in everybody else. This was the case with Brezhnev after Khrushchev, and Mishustin in this sense may well take off," Galyamov emphasized.
A bull moose that fell through lake ice in the Adirondack Mountains was saved by New York conservation officials in a laborious cold water rescue. According to Associated Press, the moose fell through the ice around 11 a.m. Thursday, about 200 feet from shore on Lake Abenaki, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation announced in a statement Friday. The lake is near the town of Indian Lake, about 60 miles south of Lake Placid and west of the Vermont border. "There's not training manual for getting moose out of the ice," said Environmental Conservation Police Officer, Lieutenant Robert Higgins, in a video statement recounting the event. Higgins was dispatched to the lake thanks to a passerby who saw the moose break through the ice and called it in. Higgins asked for backup, and was quickly joined by a pair of forest rangers. Moose can die from hypothermia, and they can't easily climb onto ice once they have fallen through into water. Ice rescues are dangerous because rescuers can also fall through. "We were able to use our ice rescue training to safely get out there," said Forest Ranger Evan Naher, in the video statement. "First they put on dry suits, so they would float and stay warm if they ended up in the water. Then they used a long metal spud bar to test the thickness of the ice, which varied from about 1 to 4 inches. They brought safety ropes so that if one fell in, the others could pull them out. They navigated a path across the lake, following the thickest path to the moose without breaking through, and knelt on sleds to distribute their weight. The giant moose quickly crawled onto the ice, but the cold and constant treading water, the ordeal lasted around 2 hours, had taken its toll. After 15 minutes, it found its footing and got up. Then it walked off into the woods.
We had a call from our dispatch at around 11:15 or so yesterday morning, and they said there was a report of a moose going through Lake Abenaki up in the town of Indian Lake. So we said we'd be responding. We said, send some other resources if possible, the forest rangers and airboat possibly to help, because it sounds like that might be needed. I guess there's no training manual for getting moose out of the ice. But so I met with Ranger Nahor showed up, and we came up with a game plan. Myself, Officer Brassard, and Ranger Nahor there, we came up with a game plan to say, hey, let's see if we can start cutting the channel, see if we can get this moose out of there. So we also hoped, the airboat was on its way, but it's going to take a little while to get the airboat there. So
we had the airboat coming, but it wasn't going to be that available that quickly. So the only thing we could do really was start cutting the channel and hopefully make something happen with it. We were able to use our ice rescue training to safely get out there and check. We used a spud bar to go out and figure out the correct path where we could be on safe ice while using the chainsaw to cut a path. And Ranger Savory called me and had the good idea to bring some jet sleds, and we were able to work out of those. So yeah, that really helped for when we got actually out to the moose.
We were able to get around behind the hole that the moose had fallen through, and we tried poking it with a couple different things, but it didn't seem afraid of them. So finally we pushed the jet sleds that we had up close to it, and for whatever reason it was scared of those. So once we got behind it, we were able to direct it to the path, and it actually swam out pretty quick to shore.